Sixth graders, I am at home again today. My son is starting to feel better. I'm hoping to be back tomorrow. But I don't want you to get behind, and what the purpose of today is I'm going to show you how to use a dial caliper, and I'm going to explain why this tool is really cool and very important. Okay, so this is a ruler, and the last time we were together, I showed you what each hash mark means on that ruler. Now, this is a great tool, but it is not super precise. Not precise in the way that engineers need it to be precise. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this very precise measuring tool called a dial caliper. Okay, so let's just explore it for a minute. When you use you can use your thumb here to, well, actually it looks like it's, if you can't use your thumb to open and close this, then you might need to loosen this knob on the top right here. But what's really cool about this tool is it does a lot of different things. I'm gonna show you with this, this is a cream pourer, I guess it could be called. Now, the dial caliper can do a lot of things. We can find the measurement of the outside of the glass, okay, using the claws on the bottom. Okay, so now I can use the measurements on my dial caliper and my dial here to figure out exactly how wide that opening is. And you'll notice that you have some claws on the top as well. Now if I close that, you can use the claws to get measurements on the inside of objects. Okay, I'm going to turn this sideways so that you can see. So I've put my claws inside and opened it as far as I can so that I can get an exact measurement of the inside of that cup. Okay. And the other part of this tool is this stick that comes out the back, the right side here. Now, the stick is going to be used to measure depth. So if I stick it into my cup, and I'll turn it sideways in just a moment so you can see, and then adjust it. Okay. Now I've adjusted it as far as it will go. So the bottom of, and I'll turn it sideways so you can see the bottom of it is at the bottom of my cup. And then you use this little ledge right here on the dial caliper to hook it on the side. And now I know exactly how deep my cup is. Okay, everyone see that? Okay, so this is a very valuable tool, and it is used to find precise measurements. So let's go through all the different parts of our dial caliper, and then I'm going to show you how to find measurements on it. Okay, to start with, we'll look at those claws on the bottom. They're actually called outside or external measuring claws. That is these right here. Outside or external measuring jaws. All of this vocabulary is in your Project Lead the Way account. This is number 5 for activity 1.3. On the top here, you have your inside or internal measuring jaws. So that's right here. And you can see that as I move the dial caliper, they spread, and you can move it back to the left and they get smaller. Okay. Those are the inside or internal measuring jaws. Okay. Then we have some more vocabulary here. This line right here is called the reference edge. Because if you look very carefully, here, let me move it up a little bit so you can see. There are measurements right here, okay? And let me move it out a lot so you can see. All right, so you can see that 1 inch is right here, okay? So that's 0, and then this is 1 inch right here. And then what's different about a dial caliper as compared to a ruler is the dial caliper, the inch is divided up into tenths instead of 16ths of inches. Okay, so this is what we did in class the other day. We went through and we put markings, all the hash marks on there. And on a traditional ruler for inches, it's broken up into 16ths. Dial caliper, on the other hand, is tenths. Okay, and you'll see why that's important in just a minute. So you have your reference edge right here. That's going to help you to figure out how, figure out your measurement. Okay. Next, we have this right here is called the dial. Okay. These measurements up to the reference edge get you to 1/10 of an inch. Then the dial gets you to 1/1000th of an inch. So again, very precise. So these get you to 1/10, and then this dial will show you all the way to the thousandths. Okay, this is the dial. This is the dial adjustment screw. We use this. So if for some reason you've closed the jaws completely and this is not at 0, your dial is not pointing at 0, then you can use that adjustment knob to twist left or right to get it to line up exactly at 0. And you want it to be at 0 to get the most accurate measurements possible. And this is the knob that I showed you kind of at the beginning. This is called the clamp or lock screw. If, like I said, if you're having trouble opening or closing your jaws, then you can tighten or loosen that screw. Sometimes it's tightened so that it cannot open, and sometimes it's too loose and it's hard to get your dial caliper to move. And then this right here, what we were just talking, what I just had my thumb on, is called the fine adjustment screw. Okay, this is the screw that you use to adjust when you're measuring the outside of something, the inside of something, or the depth of something. You want it to be exact, which is why this is called the fine adjustment screw. You can twist this until it's exact. Next, this portion of your dial caliper is called the beam or the bar. Okay, and that's a pretty sturdy part of the dial caliper, and that's what this whole dial contraption slides on. Now, last but not least, this last component, this part that comes out the right side, is called the depth measuring blade or rod. Okay, so this is the depth measuring rod. I like that term the best. Okay, so now we've gotten acquainted with all the parts of our dial caliper. And now what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how to measure with this, okay? Or at least the best I can on this video. So, and I know that you probably watched a video on it yesterday, but I'm just going to go over it with you real quick. And actually we can do some precise measurements as well. So well, let's go ahead and use my cup again, okay? So I am going to measure the outside or the external width of my cup here. Okay, so I'm gonna clamp my jaws, use my exterior jaws just to get that top. Now if you look at my cup, it actually bows out. It's not straight up, which is problematic when you're taking measurements. So I'm just going to use the outside edge, the very top. And I'm going to use that fine adjustment knob just to make sure I have it. Okay, so there I am on the outside of my cup. Now, let's take a look at the measurements involved here. Okay, and I'm sorry, my cat is very playful right now. She's probably gonna be in the video a little bit. She's right here, ready to play. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up so you can see a little bit better. Now, if you look at your measurements here, this is 1 inch and 2 inches. So you know that you are at 2 inches. And then, like I said, we're gonna get it all the way down to the hundredths here, or the thousands. So if you look at the 2, that 2 line is right here. And then this is 2 1/10, 2 2/10, 2 3/10, 2 4/10. Now you can see the 5, but we can't see that line, which means we're not quite to that 5 yet. So we're gonna stop at 2.4. Now this is where your dial comes in handy and why it is very important. The number that is on your dial is the number that goes in the hundredths and thousandths places right here, okay? So let's go ahead and see what it says. It looks like it is at 78. Does everybody see that? So I am gonna put 78 in here. And this is inches. So I am just going to do a quick thumbnail sketch of my cup. Remember, thumbnail is not exact. It just gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. Okay. So from here to here, this width is 2 478 thousandths of an inch. Another way to write inch is just 2 little dashes above the last number that you wrote. This means inches. If it was 1 little line, then that would mean feet, okay? Now, let's flip it over and use our internal jaws to measure the width of our cup inside. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here, okay, get my measurement. Then once you have your measurement, you can pull that dial caliper out and take a look at it. So I'm gonna bring it up so you can see. If you look at this, we have 1 inch right here. The number is always right in front of the line. In this case, because of that reference edge, we want to be able to see the number. So this is 1 and 2, and then you can see that just that one line is showing. So this is going to be 2.1. Now we're going to use our dial to finish that off. So this, if you look at the dial, that looks like 43. So that means 43 is going in our hundredth and thousandths places. Okay, now that is the internal width of my cup. So this space right here inside is going to be 2 143 thousandths of an inch. Okay. Now I would also like to measure the internal depth of this. And we're going to use our rod for that. Okay, so I'm going to take my dial caliper and I'm going to get it adjusted so that I can measure the depth. Okay, so just again, I want to show you how this is hooked in there. Okay, my rod is all the way at the bottom of the cup, and then the edge of it is on the edge of my cup. So I can pull that out now, and then take a look at my reading. Okay, so let's go in. We've got 1, 2. So we know that it's going to be 2 inches, and then we need to come up with our decimal. So this is 2, the line is right there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can't see all of that 5 line, so we're going to stop at 2.4. And then if you look at your dial, this is kind of between 94 and 95, but it looks like it's closer to the 95. So that means our hundredths place is going to be 9 and our thousandths place is going to be 5. And this is inches. Okay, so let's add that to our thumbnail sketch. Again, this is not at all a precise sketch. So we can't see the inside. Maybe I'll just do like a little dotted line of what the inside might look like. And I'll run some lines over so that you can see. So we're saying that the internal depth is 2 and 495 thousandths of an inch. Okay? So I'm hoping you feel a little bit better about measuring with a dial caliper now. And I want to show you or tell you what you're going to do now in your Project Lead the Way notebook. Okay, if you go to Activity 1.3 and go down to number 18. Number 18 is going to have you build a 3-dimensional shape from linking cubes. So I'm going to build it real quick and show you what I expect you to do with this. Missio has extra cubes on that little table next to my desk if you need them. And you might need to share, you're probably going to need to share. Not everyone is going to be able to have, we're not going to have enough cubes for everyone to build this. So if you want to build maybe 1 or 2 per table and then just share them, that would be ideal. Okay, so there's the base of this object in your Project Lead the Way notebook, or sorry, in your Project Lead the Way account. And it's gonna look like this. You may have seen it yesterday when you were looking through the account and trying to figure out how to use a dial caliper. Okay, so here's the first figure. There's actually 2 figures that it's gonna ask you to do, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, it looks like you've got 2 figures, and it's going to ask you for several lengths in your Project Lead the Way account. So when you log in, when you get your computer and log into your Project Lead the Way account, you're going to build this and share, because there's probably not enough for everybody, and then it's going to ask you to take some dial caliper readings. The first one says exterior width, okay? So exterior width, I would say, would be this right here, okay? And once you get it all tuned in, you can type your answer into Project Lead the Way account, and then you're going to measure, which I think I must have done that wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Exterior width. There's actually 2 exterior widths. There is this one. This is what they're considering the width. Okay, so there's dial caliper reading there. And then if I move this to the side, you can do that exterior width as well, and you get a dial caliper reading. Now, I should warn you, there's a place where you can check your answers, but your answers, they put exact answers. Your answers are not going to be exact. And the reason is because these cubes are not perfect. They're supposed to be 3/4 of an inch, and they're just not perfect. And there's also gaps, sometimes gaps between the cubes, the way that they're connected, they have like a little space between them. So when you're checking your answer, just know that as long as you're close to the number that Project Lead the Way got, then you're doing it correctly, okay? And I wouldn't expect you to be exact. In fact, I'd be concerned if you were exact. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to do 18, numbers 18 through 21. I don't know how much time is left of class, but if you have at least 20 minutes, I would like you to get a computer and build these and use your dial calipers to find the measurements that are listed in your Project Lead the Way account. If you have any questions, ask Miss Missio. She'll help you if she can. And I would be happy to help you when I get back, hopefully tomorrow. I'll see you then.